Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Friday. We've made it to the end of the week. Your reward, 2.5 hours of 580 Sports Talk this afternoon on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And on our video streams, catch us on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page, WIBW News. However you're consuming the program today, thanks for being part of the crowd. We appreciate you joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. I'm solo for now, but not for long. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a little while. Brendan Dworzinski is going to join the show a little bit later on today as well. So the gang will all be together, which will be the first time in a while that's been the case, but we got a good reason for it. We got a good reason to get the gang together. The Kansas City Chiefs report to training camp on Monday, which means the NFL offseason is over. And so this is our final show of the NFL offseason. From here forward, it is full steam ahead looking towards the 2025 NFL season. And look, that doesn't mean we're going to forget about the Kansas City Royals. It doesn't mean we're going to ignore the upcoming start of the Big 12 football season. No. It just means that this is the end of the offseason in the NFL. And what better way to honor the end of the offseason in the NFL by making today the day that we unveil as a staff our second annual 580 Sports Talk quarterback rankings. We are going to rank the quarterbacks in the National Football League from Patrick Mahomes all the way down to number 32. Don't think it's a spoiler alert or too much of one anyway to tell you that I have Mahomes at the top of my list for a second consecutive year. We'll see what my colleagues think. And we'll see where it goes from there. Because when you really try to rank all of them from 1 to 32, the top four, just as last year, really, really easy. The top four are, and you can quibble over how you want to order them, but you know who 1 through 4 are going to be. And also, when you're ranking 32, the bottom four were extremely easy for me to put in order. Everything in between was negotiable. I got some squiggles on my handwritten list, that's for sure. But I've ranked the quarterbacks. Brendan and Spencer have ranked the quarterbacks, and we are going to unveil our second annual 580 Sports Talk quarterback rankings. That's coming up in the 4 o'clock hour of today's show. We're going to do What Is Wrong With You at 4 o'clock. We'll do that smack in the middle, but we will unveil our quarterback rankings in the 4 o'clock hour of today's show. So very excited for that. Again, it's the last day of off-season content. Everything from next week forward is in season because we got the training camp going, and Reed will be talking, and players will be talking, and we'll have practice footage to pour over, position battles, and what have you. The off-season ends this weekend, and it is full steam ahead for 2025. So we'll look forward to that being our big NFL topic on the final day of the offseason, effectively. And, oh, yeah, there's been some fairly big Chiefs news of late. And to talk all about it with us, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He will join us at the bottom of this hour, as he always does on Friday. Matt will be our guest today, and we'll get his thoughts on yesterday's Rashee Rice news and everything else going on with the Chiefs the week before they head to St. Joe and begin training camp. So lots of football on the docket today, but yeah, we're going to talk some baseball too. You heard me mention in the open, we are here for 2.5 hours today because at 5:30, we're going to pass the baton to the Royals Baseball Network. Baseball's back. The All-Star break is over. They're already playing games. I think the Cubs were walking a mud hole in the Red Sox last I saw. That's germane to the interest of the American League wild card race, to be sure. Double check that's still the case. 4-1 Cubs. They might be rallying with 2 outs in the 6th. So the Cubs 9 outs away from ending that long winning streak for the Red Sox and handing some hope to the chasing pack in that American League wildcard race. The chasing pack that includes the Royals, who open a 3-game series tonight in Miami against the Marlins. First pitch time is set for 6:10, which means we'll have pregame at 5:30 from the Royals Baseball Network here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. So, with that in mind, we'll look ahead to this weekend series against the Marlins and why this is a really intriguing weekend, not just for the Royals, but for the other American League Central hopefuls. Because the Royals are not the only team among the Central Division playoff hopefuls who go into this weekend with a series against a team they feel like they probably ought to beat. And if they do, then what? Because as much as I'm pretty convinced, and as much as J.J. Piccolo's public comments have been in the direction that the Royals will be buyers at the trade deadline, the Twins and the Guardians are very much in limbo and could have their minds changed for better or for worse based on how they come out of the break. Well, they happen to be coming out of the break playing 2 of the very worst teams in baseball. So that could be a big boost for them. Even easier matchups on paper than the Royals have going to Miami. So it's an interesting week for the Central hopefuls. We'll talk about that. We'll look at the other series that matter in the wild card hunt and break down the Marlins because they've got a record better than you might expect. But does that mean they're good? No, friends. No, it does not. We'll break it down here on the show today. Plus, we'll get to everything that we always get to on a Friday edition of the show. A little on second thought, change my mind. We'll do sports headlines in the 5 o'clock hour before we're out at 5:30, including this wild story about the now former head of the NFL Players Association. Where did they find this guy? Now, who the hell spends 7 hours at a strip club? 7 hours at the strip club? And expensed it on the company dime? Yeah, man, this Lloyd Howell's a wild boy. We got lots of stuff to get to with that. An Open Championship update, a couple of updates on sports gambling scandals. Leagues love to dump those on a Friday. That's coming up in headlines. As I mentioned, we'll pick a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You as well. Want to hear from you as we go along on the program today. The text line is wide open. 785-272 9429 is the number. That is 785-272-9429. You can text the program throughout with your thoughts and your questions. You can also interact with us in the chat on our YouTube stream. If you are watching on the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Hop in the chat, leave your comments, questions, thoughts, interact with us and your fellow listeners as we go along throughout the program. Again, the name of the channel, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. If you've never watched the show on YouTube before, what better day to start? And go ahead and click that subscribe button, that little bell icon, while you're over there, while you're checking out the YouTube page at youtube.com or on the YouTube app on your mobile device of choice. Hit that subscribe button when you find 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Doesn't cost you a thing, makes the number go up. We're averaging like a new subscriber a day here for the last little while, which has been pretty cool. Who's our hero today? Who's going to be our new subscriber today? I know you're out there. I know there's somebody hearing this right now who has not yet subscribed to the 580 Sports Talk YouTube. Get on in there. Get us closer to our stretch goal of 800 subscribers, at which point Brendan and I will arm wrestle on camera during an episode of 580 Sports Talk. You can get us closer to that stretch goal if you subscribe today to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. A good afternoon to folks in the chat. Mark H., Andrew, Ryan, and Vance are in the chat today. Appreciate seeing them. And look forward to seeing more of you interact in the YouTube chat as we go along on the program today. Royals and Marlins. Tonight it'll be Seth Lugo who opens the second half for the Royals, and Kansas City could hardly ask for a better option to start the second half. As steady and solid as Seth Lugo has been, he's pitching on some extra rest. You'd love to believe against a lineup that's not particularly good, Seth Lugo can get you some length and get you into the weekend with a fairly fresh bullpen after going 6 or 7 innings tonight. He'll be pitching against Miami's Sandy Alcantara, who you may remember as having been good, like Cy Young Award winner good at one point in his career. Unfortunately, there was, it turned out, a downside to Sandy Alcantara pitching in 2022 as close to old school as we ever see anymore, with all those complete games and pitching close to 230 innings. He won the Cy Young in 2022, and he deserved it. He was the most valuable player by Baseball Reference WAR, most valuable pitcher in the entire major leagues in 2022. And then in 2023, wasn't quite as good, and then his elbow went kablooey, and he needed Tommy John surgery. And this is his first year back in 2025, and he is carrying an ERA that looks like a Boeing model. 7.22 is the ERA for Sandy Alcantara through his 91 innings pitched this year, a 4-9 record. He's got 71 strikeouts to 37 walks. He's just been very hittable, and the people who reach base against him, they come in and score, hence the ERA over 7. But it's a fascinating start for Alcantara tonight, because if he goes out and shows well against a Royals lineup that, it should be said itself, is no great shakes, the better he pitches, the better team he might end up with here in about a week, because it is the worst kept secret in baseball that the Marlins are going to trade Sandy Alcantara, or at least would very much like to trade Alcantara. Alcantara is the official pronunciation on Baseball Reference. Let me get it right. Alcantara. It is the worst kept secret in baseball that the Marlins would love to trade Sandy Alcantara. He is signed very cheap through 2026, and there's a team option for 2027. So it's a pretty low risk addition with some team control. If you feel like you're an organization that's pretty good with player development, maybe you could get something more out of Alcantara if you acquire him over the next 2 years that you could have him, 2.5 years you could have him. He's probably not the Cy Young caliber pitcher from 2022, but even if he could just be the kind of like solid pitcher he was in 2023 again, that could swing a playoff spot. But Alcantara has to show that he's capable of that, and he's not the guy sitting with an ERA in the low 7s. So there's a lot on the line for him and the Marlins in his start tonight. The other pitching matchups, Royals announced their guys. Marlins had already announced theirs yesterday. Royals are going to go with Michael Wacha tomorrow in Miami. I like that better than having him pitch in Chicago, where the long ball can certainly come into play, and Wacha's been victimized of late by the long ball. I like Wacha going in Miami tomorrow. Then Chris Bubic will go on Sunday. Obviously, it's been whirlwind week for Bubic, pitching in the All-Star game. So having pitched on Tuesday, that gives him a full 4 days rest before he would pitch on Sunday. Miami is going to counter with Cal Quantrill tomorrow. That's a familiar name. Royals have seen him before back in his time as a Guardian. Spent last year with the Rockies, wasn't particularly good, has not been particularly excellent this year for the Marlins. A 5.62 earned run average in 18 starts. Sunday's starter will be a gentleman with the real name Jansen Junk. If you're not acquainted with Jansen Junk, he's going to start for Miami on Sunday, and he's like not bad. He's pitched pretty well over 50 innings this year, ERA at 2.68. He's only started 5 games, but he's worked in bulk relief. Only 4 walks and 1 home run allowed in 50 1/3 innings. So he's awfully stingy. He's not going to give you anything for free. Not going to give you any easy runs. Jansen Junk. For those who would want to know, I could not tell you. I'm not familiar enough with his game to tell you whether or not he is a junk baller. But that's who's starting for Miami on Sunday. Jansen Junk. Real guy. So those are the pitching matchups. I think they shake out pretty well for the Royals, to be honest with you. I like their chances of opening the post-All-Star break portion of their schedule with a series win. And the idea is, once again, you'd like to go better than 500 on this road trip. We are getting to the point where good is not going to be good enough for a whole lot longer. We talked about this earlier. Talked about this in relation to the 4-2 homestand that the Royals had before the All-Star break. It was good. Could it have been better? Yes, it should have been better. And you might need better when you're 4.5 out of a playoff spot rather than like 4.5 up on a playoff spot. So you need to be better than good at some point. That being said, given that the second leg of this road trip is against a Chicago team with a really good lineup who's been good at Wrigley Field this year, that's going to be a hard series to win. So if you want to have a good road trip, you got to win this series. If you want to have a great road trip, this might need to be a sweep. You might need to find your way to 3 wins this weekend if you're the Royals. I hesitate in every way to use the term must win. It's one of my least favorite terms when talking about sports, because the only games you have to win are elimination games. Then and only then are you in a truly must-win situation. You're down 3-0 in a series, game 4 of that best of 7, that is a must-win. If you are 6 games out of the playoffs with 6 games to play, 6 games out, 6 to go, that day's game is a must-win. I am not going to call every game this weekend a must-win, but it would behoove the Royals to win this series, particularly with the dangerous Cubs lurking in the second leg of this road trip. You can't be worse than 3-3. You have to play that 500 ball on the road at least the rest of the way. You've got a good opportunity here to win a series against an inferior team. Miami's offense is basically just the Kyle Stowers show. You saw him at the All-Star game. Augustin Ramirez is a fun player, a young catcher who makes a lot of outs and really doesn't get to catch very much. He's mostly the designated hitter. Jesus Sanchez is very average offensively. That's about all I got for you on the Marlins. They don't do anything that is particularly imposing or impressive. They just kind of meh all the way around offensively. And again, mentioned their starting pitching, some of the trouble that they have. But the reason also that it is important for the Royals to take care of business in a series against a team that they're better than is because the teams around them, specifically in the American League Central, are in the same boat this week. There are a lot of teams still fighting, still considering themselves in the mix for a wild card berth. Seattle holds a wild card berth right now. They maybe got bigger things on their mind this weekend. They've got a 3-game home series with Houston. They could turn the AL West on its head, get back in that race. Mentioned Boston. They got a tough 3 games this weekend at Chicago, losing in Chicago as they go to the 7th inning. Yankees have 3 games at Atlanta, a team kind of in a crisis, but certainly talented enough to defend their home park. Tampa Bay's at home against Baltimore. Texas is at home against Detroit, who obviously has been rolling. The Angels will have their hands full with the Phillies on the road. But it's Minnesota, Cleveland, and Kansas City who have matchup advantages this week. Series that they ought to win, and that it is not far-fetched to say they perhaps ought to sweep. The Royals in Miami against the Marlins. Minnesota's in Denver. Enough said. They play the worst team in the history of baseball this weekend. And Cleveland is at home against the lowly Sacramento A's. There is a lot of talk out there about Minnesota and especially Cleveland being sellers at the trade deadline. Much more talk about them selling than there is about Kansas City selling. That's a mindset thing, right? That's an organizational mindset that is out there, with Kansas City having spent some real money in the offseason, being all in behind Bobby Witt Jr. in his prime, and looking to make a push if they can relative to a Minnesota team that didn't spend any money this offseason and is waiting on a sale of the organization to go through, and a lame duck ownership group not exactly looking to take on a whole bunch of payroll, and a Cleveland team whose owner died in the offseason, and obviously it was a family trust, so it's the Doyle? Dolan kids who are running the show now. But they are not exactly eager to take on a bunch of payroll at the trade deadline either. So it's an organizational mindset with those teams, Minnesota and Cleveland. But if they come out of this weekend with 3 wins and get 2 or 3 games closer to a playoff spot, that's going to be a little harder to convince themselves, particularly if you're Cleveland and you just won the division last year with most of these same guys. Maybe that changes their mindset. Maybe it changes Minnesota's mindset and they decide, yeah, we're not going to trade Byron Buxton. We're not going to dump Yohan Duran. We're going to hang on to these guys. The Royals, I don't think, unless they go 0-6 on this trip, are going to change their mind about what it is that they want to do. They want to make a push because they owe it to Bobby Witt Jr. When they made the commitment to Bobby Witt Jr. that they made with that long-term contract extension, what they were saying implicitly was, we are going to do our best to win every single year that you are on the team. When we have the opportunity, we are going to push the chips to the middle of the table. And the Royals don't have a ton of chips, truth be told. It's still a weak farm system, one of the game's weakest. But whatever chips they've got where they can go out and add that complementary offensive piece. And I don't even think complementary is good enough. They need to add a guy, not just good enough to push Jack Caglione out of the 6 hole, but maybe good enough to move Jonathan Indy out of the leadoff spot. They need a real impact bat. Somebody who's really going to help them. And I think they are likelier than not to still make that move. Hell, they may have more urgency. They lose this series this weekend. Maybe they make the move on Monday morning. I don't know. But I'll tell you this. I'll go back to what I said earlier. It behooves the Royals to win this series, to find a way to at least 2 wins, to give themselves the best possible chance at a good, potentially great road trip. And they're going to need it because some of the other teams that are right there just about level with them in the standings, they've got golden opportunities to go pick up 2 or 3 wins this weekend as well. We'll take our first break here on 580 Sports Talk. We will come back, continuing our Chiefs countdown to kickoff. It's another undrafted free agent today, number 49 on our countdown to kickoff. And then Matt Derrick's going to join us from ChiefsDigest.com. We're going to get Matt's perspective on the Rashee Rice news, what kind of suspension the Chiefs are expecting and why, and everything else that we can think to talk about with Matt as our Chiefs insider joins us here at the bottom of this hour. And then later on in the 4 o'clock hour, you don't want to miss it, our final show of the NFL offseason. The gang will all be here to rank the NFL quarterbacks. Looking forward to that. Hit us on the text line, 785-272-9429. You can also get at us in the YouTube chat. We are just getting started on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Thanks so much for being with us here on WIBW. 3:33 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting things revved up on this Friday afternoon. Shorter show today. We're off at 5:30 for Royals baseball. 6:10 first pitch tonight from, I believe it is Lone Depot Park in Miami, as the Royals and Marlins start a 3-game series. First game's back from the All-Star break. Used to just be Marlins Park. That was easy enough to remember. Their old stadium, back when they played at the stadium that the Dolphins still play at, that stadium changed names every 5 minutes. It was Joe Robbie Stadium for a long time, and then it was like Land Shark Stadium. I think it was Pro Player Stadium, Pro Player Park. I don't know if they ever played at it when it was called Hard Rock Stadium, and of course now it's been retrofitted a little bit. It's just a football venue now, and looks great. Looks like a brand new building, but it's kind of wild to remember that, oh yeah, that's where the Marlins played for like the first 15 odd years of their existence. Had that huge left center field gap, the old timey scoreboard along the left field wall where they retracted the stands. Anyway, it's Lone Depot Park now, and they got rid of the only distinguishing feature of that place, which was the home run sculpture. You guys remember that when they first built that ballpark? They had this garish sculpture that would go off whenever a Marlin hit a home run. It would just be this like rotating thing, and like fish and like spinning fish or jumping into the water or whatever it was. It was this ridiculous thing. They also had a fish tank behind home plate, like on the backstop. And then they got rid of all of that because, why should baseball be fun? Why should we have any fun? Why should that stadium be fun? It's the Marlins. They haven't been fun since Jose Fernandez died. God rest his soul. Our Chiefs countdown to kickoff continues. Just before we talk to our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick, he's going to join us here in just a little bit. Our Chiefs countdown to kickoff continues. We are 49 days away from the Chiefs and the Chargers opening up their 2025 regular seasons in Week 1 action on a Friday night in Brazil. And number 49 on the Chiefs camp roster is a gentleman named Trey Watson. He's a tight end out of Texas A&M via Fresno State. And he is originally from Rio Rancho, New Mexico, which is just outside of Albuquerque. It is the third largest city in New Mexico. And among notable people from Rio Rancho include a bunch of local politicians, former NFL player, former Michigan Wolverine, Alan Branch, former Boston Red Sox catcher, Blake Swihart, and Trey Watson, who very clearly either himself or had somebody he knew edit the Wikipedia page for Rio Rancho, New Mexico to put him on this list. Because he's the only one that doesn't have a link to another Wikipedia page in his listing. And he's also the only one where it mentions what high school he went to. It very much looks DIY. Like Trey Watson was like, man, I'm more notable than Richard V. Thomas, former member of the Wyoming Supreme Court. I got to get on this Wikipedia page. Full disclosure, I have edited, if you've ever looked at the WIBW Wikipedia page, I've edited the lineup for WIBW programming in the past. I have gone in the back end and submitted edits to Wikipedia. But I'm not about to go to like Centennial, Colorado, put my name on the most notable people from my hometown. I think Trey Watson did that. Or maybe his mom, maybe his dad, maybe a cousin. I love that for Trey. Wish him all the best in making the team. He's probably tight end number 6 on the depth chart, so he's going to need the luck. Matt Derrick joins us next for our Chiefs Insider 580 Sports Talk. We go to Kansas City for our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. We can check out all of his outstanding work, and you can find him across social media just by searching for Matt Derrick. Matt, busier end of the offseason than we maybe anticipated. Lots of Chiefs stuff to get to from this week. We'll start with the most recent news, which was the sentencing of Rashee Rice to 5 years probation and 30 days in jail. The legal system has now had its say as it goes to Rashee Rice's hit and run incident in 2024. So now what? When do the Chiefs expect that a punishment will be handed down by the NFL? And what kind of punishment are they maybe expecting?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be quicker than normal in a situation like this. Typically NFL usually gets everything done 60 to 90 days. And part of that's because, usually the NFL, at the conclusion of a criminal process, usually they sometimes have new information. But in this case, there's no trial. There's nothing that happened. I mean, it's a plea agreement. So they should, for the most part, have all the information that they need. The next step, and what sometimes gums up the works, is if the player appeals whatever Roger Goodell punishment he comes up with, and that can delay the process. And we'll see. I mean, if the NFL comes back with an 8-game suspension, I imagine Rashee Rice would appeal. If it's something more manageable, maybe there won't be an appeal. It'll get done pretty quickly. The appeals process is usually what probably gums up the work the longest, but right now it does sound like the NFL is going to try to go for a expedited process. So it would not surprise me if certainly there's a decision before the beginning of the season about what the suspension is going to be. And from what I'm told, the Chiefs, I think the best way to put it, the Chiefs are hoping for 2 games, expecting 4 games, and bracing for 6 games. Anything more than that, like I said, I think it would probably get an appeal, and it would certainly surprise, I think, the Chiefs and Rashee Rice a little bit.
We were talking about it yesterday when the news broke that there does seem to be a difference in how the NFL adjudicates violations of stupidity and violations of malice. And I think what we have in Rashee Rice's case was not somebody behaving maliciously, but behaving very, very stupidly and recklessly. Typically, though, have not received as severe a suspension under the personal conduct policy, especially if there are no drugs or alcohol involved, which there does not seem to have been, then the aforementioned acts of malice tend to get. I think back to Willie Gay and his domestic violence suspension, or Charles Omenihu and his domestic violence suspension that he got. However, there were still people last year when this all went down. James Palmer of the NFL Network saying he expected Rashee Rice would get a half-season suspension. So what accounts for the pessimism, I guess, is what I'm asking. What would be the reason that you would think that if it were to be on the high end, 6 or more games, that would be the case for Rashee Rice if that were the direction the NFL went?
Yeah, if there's an extended punishment like that for Rashee Rice, then my expectation would be a couple of things. Is that one, Roger Goodell's obviously putting a lot of emphasis on the bodily harm in this incident, that there were victims in this. This wasn't just something that Rashee Rice hurt himself. If anything, he kind of walked away from it scot-free. There was other people that were injured, and that would be the penalty. And 2, I think that there's, the consideration from the commissioner that, hey, they've had a couple of incidents around the league. I think Jordan Addison obviously, was involved in something somewhat similar, a little bit different. And his situation is probably going to be different too, because there were 2 incidents involved, in which case he might be treated as a repeat offender, whereas Rashee's incident was standalone. He did maybe a lot of stupid things at once, but they were all part of one action. The commissioner in the NFL might be wanting to send a message to the players, hey, we don't want you a street racing. We don't want this stuff knocked off. So that would be my only concern from Rashee's standpoint, is that they want to make an example of him. But to your point, when you talk about the NFL code of conduct policy, you really the part of it that Rashee truly violated. And I mean, the NFL lists off all the things that it's not limited to, but here are the examples of things that you can get in trouble for. And the next to last one is, posing genuine danger to the safety and well-being of another person. I mean, after that, then it's conduct undermining the league and its teams. I mean, that's basically embarrassing the Shield. You might say that Rasheed put himself into that one too, but the NFL clearly categorizes and prioritizes threats of violence of a sexual nature, domestic nature, child abuse, assault and battery, violent behavior, gun possession, drug possession, stalking. I mean, they list all of this before anything that Rasheed Rice was involved with. So you're right. I mean, it is largely a crime of stupidity versus what the NFL typically has a bigger problem with, which is obviously, relationship violence, gun violence, possession of drugs, theft. I mean, anything of that nature, they consider a whole lot worse.
Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com is our Chiefs insider, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. However you slice it, Rasheed Rice is likely to miss time for the Chiefs to start the 2025 season, whether it's 1 game, 6 games, something in between. Who then is more important in the Chiefs passing game as a result? Or in what ways are multiple guys maybe a little bit more important with having to cover for the absence of wide receiver 1 for however many games that's going to entail?
Yeah, probably, the short answer, I think, is a couple of people. I mean, one, I think that whatever absence that you have of Rasheed Rice, now the pressure's on Hollywood Brown is just a little bit more, because now the pressure on Hollywood to stay healthy, be available, all of those things are going to be in the back of your mind. I mean, he's got to get through camp healthy. He's got to be in a position where he can help this team, because you can't be in a position again where you're playing an extended period of time where it's all on Xavier Worthy again. Can't be exactly where you were last year. So I think there's a little bit of pressure not to replace what Rasheed Rice does. I'm not certain that the Chiefs have anybody that can truly step in and does what Rasheed Rice does. But, just as a leadership, as a veteran, as a guy who can make himself available to Mahomes, I think you're certainly expecting Hollywood Brown to step up. That's what he's been paid for. It's what you're hoping that he will do. It probably makes the importance of having a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster around even more important. I mean, I think it would be easy to turn to Jalen Royals, but asking, a rookie to come in and replace Rasheed Rice, I mean, you just don't see that, especially a 4th-round draft pick. So, there was maybe some kind of speculation that maybe the Royals did even draft Jalen Royals with the assumption that maybe they would have to play for a bit without Rasheed Rice and he could give them some production. But if we're talking about Rasheed Rice missing the beginning of the season, that's when it's toughest for rookies, especially in Andy Reid's offense, to contribute. And even Rasheed Rice himself is a good example of that. I mean, second half of his rookie season was much more productive than the first half. And Juju was going to be the guy that would probably be more of a slot guy for them, someone who could move around and at least play multiple positions because he's a veteran and he knows every part of the offense. Xavier is now in that category too, where he could probably play multiple roles. But I think it's those two guys that the Chiefs are probably going to need to lean on in the first half of the season. Certainly Xavier is going to have a role, but I think those two guys in particular.
Let's turn to the other bit of significant Chiefs news from earlier this week. It got done about 2.5 hours or so, give or take, before the deadline, but the Chiefs did get the long-term extension done with their starting right guard, Trey Smith. And the facts of the deal, that he got the largest guarantee and the most money per year of any guard in NFL history, I think we all expected that was going to be the case. Did you think it was going to be $23.5 million per year? Because that's a little higher than I expected.
And the crazy thing is the conventional wisdom is that these deals are usually the benchmark is the franchise tag itself. And for Trey, that was $23.4 million. So 23.5, no matter how you slice up this contract, I mean, 15 different ways, you can measure it any way you want to. It still comes out to be about $23.5 million, whichever way you look at it. I just don't know what took 4 months for these two sides to get there. I mean, unless both sides were just absolutely entrenched at much higher and much lower numbers, respectively. I don't get why it took them until 2 hours before the deadline to get together, because anybody could have come in and just said, hey, why don't you guys just agree at 23.5? I mean, 23.4, that's what the number is. So what are you doing? Like I said, unless one or both sides were just trying to save $1 million or $2 a year, and they were just too far apart until the last couple of hours. And It does sound like that there wasn't a whole lot of progress made on this until maybe the last couple of days before the deadline.
Is Trey Smith, is any right guard worth $23.5 million a year?
I'm going to make the argument that yes, for a couple of reasons. And one is that, the Chiefs have a choice going forward. Do they pay the guys that they trust and that they know the best? Or do they spend their money on, kind of door number 3, maybe players that they don't know as well, but, that are different and something that may come in to fill a need. That's where I don't know that the Chiefs have had a lot of success. So if it came down to making a decision about, do you sign a free agent tackle that you don't know as well, you're not confident is going to fit in with your team, and spend a lot of money on them and maybe not smart money on them? Or do you pay a guy like Trey Smith that you trust, fits in with your team and what you do offensively? I think they're going to make that decision. I mean, their big swings going forward are going to be to keep their own guys when they're players that they trust and that they know. I mean, they're going to make the same decision on Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis. They're not going to give, top of the market money to just anybody. It's got to be somebody special. And I think Trey Smith is special. And I've been asked, a few times in the last couple of days, can you pay a guard that kind of money? Well, I mean, the Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls when Joe Thuney was the highest paid, if not at least one of the 2 or 3 highest paid left guards. Eagles won a Super Bowl last year with Landon Dickerson being the highest paid guard in the league. So, obviously there's some keys to success there. And to me, it's more about if you're spending your money in the right places on the right players and you're not wasting it and you're not spending $25 million on a player who, doesn't fit what you do. And maybe as a result flames out and doesn't give you the production that you need. And right now, I mean, the Chiefs seem to be building towards an offensive line that, hey, if they've got 2 of the best players in their league at center and right guard, and you're able to get great production or even good production out of a guy like Josh Simmons at left tackle and Kingsley Suamadiya at left guard, that could be the foundation of your line, your offensive line, 80% of it for the next 4 years. And from a cost standpoint, that's cost manageable since you got 2 vets and 2, guys on their rookie contracts.
Couple more quick questions for Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, it was news earlier this week that 30 of the 32 second-round picks in the NFL draft this year had not agreed to their rookie contracts. There were a slew of them that signed yesterday. Omar Norman-Lott still not under contract by the Chiefs. Any concern that won't get done, or is the expectation that he'll be there for day one?
Yeah, I would expect him to be there for day one. Once the deluge started, you felt like once one of these players that was left signed a second-round deal and you kind of got a benchmark for how much was going to be guaranteed, everybody then would start falling in line in place. And the Chiefs, they report their workout day is on Monday when they do all their testing. Report day is essentially Sunday on the 20th. Some players may report on Saturday, kind of a 2-day report time for the Chiefs. So it wouldn't surprise me if sometime over the weekend, Omar Norman-Lott gets into Kansas City, signs his deal, and reports to camp. So I think you'll probably see something in the next 48 hours.
Last one, Matt, about 30 seconds here. It's kind of a quick yes or no. Now that the Trey Smith deal is done, Brett Veach had indicated that was priority one, and then beyond that, they would start thinking about contract extensions for George Karlaftis and Trent McDuffie. Do you think either of those get done before the end of training camp, or do you think that the timing of the Smith deal means that that's business for next offseason?
I'm going to give a tentative yes. I think one of them could get done. Maybe I don't think both of them will get done. That's a lot to ask. But now that there's some momentum, what your cost is going to be for some guys. Yeah, I think there's impetus from the Chiefs to get at least one of those done before the start of the season.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs at ChiefsDigest.com. He is our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk, joining us every Friday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, be driving safe to St. Joe. It's training camp. The offseason's over. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk again with training camp in full swing next week.
Can't wait to talk to you from St. Joe, Dan. Take care, my friend.
Thank you so much. That is Matt Derrick. We'll step aside for a timeout, come back and wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk next. On second thoughts, I really did think Rashee Rice was going to get a pretty stiff suspension. I think the history of Chiefs players running afoul of the law, it looked really bad when it happened. It was one of those, quote, bad looks, him running away from the scene of the accident. But the more you get into the history of code of conduct or player personal conduct policy suspensions, and you read the statement from the court that sentenced Rashee Rice, and it seems like Rashee Rice has done the right things, said the right things. He's provided restitution to his victims and is really taking steps towards making things right after that incident. The more I think it's not going to be on the high end of suspensions, the more I think that the Chiefs are probably right. It's going to be in that 2 to 4 game range. Maybe it starts at 6 and gets appealed down to 4, but I don't think it's going to be as onerous as maybe we expected back when the incident first happened. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, the whole gang joins me. We're going to rank the quarterbacks in the NFL and crown a What Is Wrong With You champ for the week on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 on a Friday on 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for being with us. We're here till 5:30 this afternoon on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. However, whenever you are hearing this radio program, we appreciate you so much being along for the ride here on 580 Sports Talk. I am Dan Lucero, and the gang is all here. Spencer Dupuis across the glass, and Brendan Wrzinski is here. Hi, guys.
Howdy.
It's good to see everybody.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
It's weird to have to make sure all 3 mics are up and everything's in there.
Yeah, you got to remember how to do our jobs, right? I got to remember
Feels like old times.
I got to remember how to talk to other people that aren't the audience. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But no, we got everybody in here for this hour of 580 Sports Talk because it is a special occasion. We are unveiling today our second annual NFL quarterback rankings from the top to the bottom, from Patrick Mahomes to the 50 feet of crap to the New Orleans Saints or whoever maybe you have at the bottom of your list. That is what we will be doing today here. It is the final show of the offseason, guys. I don't know if you have all clocked that, but Chiefs report over the weekend. Training camp starts Monday. The offseason is done.
There's also a football game this month.
There is a football game. Thank you for mentioning that. This is synergy. The 31st of July is the Hall of Fame game.
I think that's the earliest it's ever been.
And you can hear it right here on your home for the National Football League, 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Do I know off the top of my head who's playing? Nope.
Chargers
Lions.
And somebody, the Lions.
Yep.
Thank you. Chargers, Lions in the Hall of Fame game.
Royals off that night?
Yes, it's a Thursday night. The Royals are off, and we'll have Westwood One coverage of the Hall of Fame game.
Wow.
Yeah. Get you excited for football.
So I think they usually try for the Hall of Fame game to do the teams of two, like the prominent teams of guys going into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Well, Antonio Gates going in this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
No notable Lions.
Really?
Fellow class members include Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Sterling Sharp.
Yeah, I mean,
they're all being honored
Sterling
at
Sharp
the game.
famously beat the Lions in the playoffs with a late touchdown reception.
Yeah.
Jared Allen ever suited up for the Honolulu Blue? I don't think he did.
No, it is funny if you look at the Hall of Fame when they announced it, like how the week was. It says class of 2025 member Antonio Gates spent his entire career with the Chargers. He and his fellow class members, and then it just lists the rest. Will be inducted or will be introduced on the field prior. Mentions nothing of any Lions players.
Yeah, Jared Allen did briefly play for a team in blue, but it was Carolina.
Yeah,
not the Lions.
Boy, don't remember that. But yeah, I guess that was at the very end. Huh?
12 games in his final season. Yeah, a 4-time first-team All-Pro.
Great player.
That dude was awesome.
Deserving Hall of Famer. Great post-sack celebration. The calf roping.
Maybe the greatest ever.
Calf time.
I think that and Gilbert Brown's Gravedigger, I think, are my 2 favorite sack celebrations ever.
I think getting the Lions in may have had something to do with the fact that neither team had appeared in a Hall of Fame game since 1994.
I mean, when you have prestige like that, how do you pass it up?
I was going to say Neil Smith's home run swing, very high on my list.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
The quarterback rankings coming this hour. We're also going to crown a champion on what is wrong with you for the week. We want to hear from you, especially if you disagree with our quarterback rankings. Mine are perfect. I don't know why you would disagree with mine, but if you disagree with somebody else's, hit us up on the text line, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Or you can hit us up in the comments, the chat on our YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. You can interact with us in the live chat on the web browser or your mobile device of choice. And if you're watching along on YouTube, you'll be able to follow along with our list because we're going to share a screen, put them up as we name them as we go along through the list of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. And guys, can we start with, we're going to go like we did last year, where everybody's going to give their entry at the certain position.
Okay.
So I'll give my number 1. You guys will give your number 1, number 2, number 3, so on and so forth. We'll do our top 10 and our bottom 5 in this segment.
Okay.
And then we'll get to kind of the rest as we go along later on here in the segment. Patrick Mahomes, number one. Do we have any dissent?
I think this is the closest it's been since, I don't know, 2018, technically, since that was his first year as a starter. I think this is the closest it's been between Patrick Mahomes and the field, but I still had no problem putting him number one.
Yeah, I didn't either. I think the top three got closer for me than they were last year.
But, I mean, like, he still does things that nobody else does. They still win more games than anybody else.
What was it? They
That was
had
an
like
easy
the
one.
lack of explosive plays last year or something, and they were still really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's the least, not even like pre-Mahomes Chiefs, like one of the least explosive offenses I've ever seen, period. And I think there's some good data to back that up, and they still won 15 games.
They won 15 games because he is the monster at the end of the book. He is the one guy who you do not want to see with the ball with 2 minutes left in a game where his team is tied or behind, because he's going to go win it. He is still that guy, even without the explosives, even without the deep ball threats that he had, or that deep connection that he had with the wide receiver that he really lacked until late in the season. Even with his number one target for years, Travis Kelce, starting to slow down, he was still inevitable.
I would like to add this. This wasn't like a perfect trait I did for every single pick. There were reasons why or why not. But the general theme I tried to use was, like, if I'm building a team from scratch, how would I pick the quarterbacks? And that's relevant here because this past year for the Chiefs, to win those 15 games, to get to the Super Bowl, all of that, the defense wasn't even as good as it was the year prior. The defense was unbelievable in 2023. It was not quite as good in it was good, but it wasn't great in 2024. So there was even less help from the complementary football side of things. So the fact that he was still able to lead them to that place, even when it wasn't as flashy and shiny as normal, made it, again, closer, because, you know, Allen and Jackson are both phenomenal. That's more about them than it is about Mahomes. But I still had no problem putting him number one.
An easy choice. It remains an easy choice. It's probably going to continue to be an easy choice through the rest of his prime and possibly beyond that even. Patrick Mahomes, number one for a second straight year, the unanimous number one on the 580 Sports Talk quarterback rankings. Josh Allen, number two. Any dissent there?
Spencer?
Nope.
Yeah, I went with Josh Allen too. The tiebreaker, like, Lamar's awesome. Two-time MVP. He's awesome. My tiebreaker here, I think, even though neither has won the big one yet, I think Allen's been a better playoff performer than Lamar. And maybe that's not fair because the majority of the season is the 18 weeks before the playoffs, and that'll come up here momentarily as well. But Allen's been really good. Like, have any of their losses to the Chiefs been his fault? Like, the 13 seconds game, he was unbelievable.
Yeah, he not the one decided to kick it deep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going with Josh Allen.
My reasoning was just coming off of the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, how do you argue with that?
Yeah,
Like-
he's the MVP, right?
Like, yeah, Lamar Jackson was the one before that, but like, we're talking 2025. Give me the recency value there.
And kind of like Mahomes a little bit, Josh Allen is being asked to make it shake with a collection of skill players that is deficient. Let's be honest. This is sort of in the same spot where we found Mahomes in. Now, the difference is why Mahomes remains number one is he won 2 Super Bowls when they started taking away his infinity stones. But Josh Allen, he ain't never had any, like, he had Stephon Diggs for a while. That was fun. But he's got Khalil Shakir and a bunch of guys who are like lesser versions of Khalil Shakir. Keon Coleman, who might not actually be good at football.
Yeah, he's total toss.
Dalton Kincaid is coming off of his worst year.
Honestly, it feels at least off. Well, really, kind of whole roster, sort of like the Chiefs going into that 22 seat, which I still think is like the true masterpiece of Mahomes' career. Like, you've got one skill position player who is truly great. Like, I think James Cook is really like a top 5 running back. I think he's really, really good. That Chiefs team had Travis Kelce. Wide receivers are all fine. The Chiefs running backs were fine, and the Bills tight ends now are fine. Offensive line is good, above average to very good, and a defense that is above average. There are a lot of similarities there, I think. Again, the difference is I'd rather have Mahomes because he's done it before.
Lamar Jackson is number 3 for me. MVP 2 years ago. Still think he is, and this is no slight to Allen, who's really close in this discussion. I don't think there's a quarterback more dangerous with his legs in the NFL than Lamar Jackson. I think he has gotten the complement of weapons. Like, I think both Mahomes and Allen would sign up for the skill players that the Ravens have. I think both of those guys would trade all their skill guys for all of Baltimore.
Dude, I'm dreaming of having Rashad Bateman in Kansas City. Oh, my God.
So, I think that helps him, certainly. But devastating scrambler and runner, better passer than he gets credit for. The knock is the postseason performance, which is entirely fair. But for me, Lamar Jackson's an easy number 3.
Yeah, and you can probably guess, I'm sure we all have the same 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest Joe Burrow guy you're going to find this side of the Ohio River, but how do you argue with what Lamar Jackson has done? And he's a better passer than he's ever been, and he was always better than the narrative led you to believe. So yeah, I'm going with Lamar there.
Yeah, I'm going with Lamar there, and I think we all just said with 4 being Burrow. I didn't really put his season into perspective until I just watched quarterbacks. Like, what he did, like, he played an MVP level with everyone around him, including the defense, playing like a subpar team level.
I think Joe Burrow is the greatest 4th best quarterback in the league in the history of the sport.
Probably.
I'm like entirely
And
serious.
he's the only guy that's ever beaten Mahomes mano a mano in a big game in the AFC playoffs. He's the only one of these guys in the top 4 who's done it. I think he is the most limited athletically of Allen and of the group with him, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And so that's why I continue.
Even he's a functional runner. I mean, he's not going to run.
No, he can move in the pocket.
Yeah.
He's no slouch.
He's not going to do. No one can do what Lamar does, and really no one can do what Allen does. By the way, Lamar Jackson, I think one of the few players in the league who you call by just his first name and you know who you're talking about. Yeah. It's much more of like a basketball and soccer thing, but football, it's like just Lamar Jackson. Anywho, Burrow's like function. Even Mahomes can rip off a long run now and again. Burrow is much more like, all right, we need 5 yards. I'm going to get you 6 and slide and get back to the huddle. I love Joe Burrow's game. This is the cruelest thing about him being in the league at the same time as these other 3 guys. He is probably the closest thing skill set wise as we have to Peyton Manning in the NFL right now.
Interesting.
Like in terms of it's the cerebral stuff first. Manning had a really good arm early in his career. Burrow's like a somewhat above average arm, but not as strong as these guys.
It's not a laser. It's not a Josh Allen arm or a Mahomes arm.
It's more than functional.
Gets the ball where it needs to go.
And like, look, you can say the thing about he's got Chase and Higgins, who wouldn't be good. Lots of guys. I'm going to tell you guys right now, lots of guys.
All right, so no drama yet. We all have the same top 4 in the same order. This was not the case last year. We did have a little dissent, but we all had the same 4 guys in the same order.
Us and every analyst in the world. It's incredible. Everyone agrees on the top 4.
I think this was ESPN's list as well to the letter. I think they had Burrow 3rd. But anyway, the top 4 is the top 4. The Mount Rushmore is the Mount Rushmore. Here's where it gets interesting. Number 5, I have Jaden Daniels. And that's really high to put a guy who's only played 1 year. Here's my argument for Jaden Daniels. I think, the old football coach Bum Phillips used to have a saying about guys.
Sick jacket.
Yes. Cool cowboy hat. Awesome. Great accent. His son, Wade Phillips, one of the great defensive coordinators in the history of the game. Bum Phillips used to have a saying, and it was about coaches, but I think it applies to quarterbacks. The great ones could take his and beat yours, and take yours and beat his. The top 4 quarterbacks, I have no question, can do that.
Yes.
Everybody after Daniels on this list, I don't know if they can take yours and beat his.
That's fair.
I think they can take theirs and beat yours, and we'll get to who those names are as we go along here. But Daniels might have the creativity and the daring and the all-around athletic ability to take somebody else's team and go beat his guys. And that's why Jaden Daniels, to me, ranks ahead of some of the other guys on this list. I know it's only 1 year in. It feels like maybe I'm overreacting, and maybe I am. But Daniels is number 5 for me.
Did you also have him 5?
Did not.
Okay.
So neither did I. And here is the only and I'm serious. This is the only reason why. Philosophically, I don't think you can put a 1 year guy in the top 5 of quarterbacks. I don't. If he had done that twice or even like sucked the first year and then did that last year, I would have put him top 5. Literally just like a personal philosophical thing. I was considering like around 10, and then I went back and thought about it a little bit more. I think Daniels did a lot more with less than we realized. And I'm not trying to knock the Commanders at large because they had a great year and some guys really stepped up. I love Terry McLaurin. That line was not really all that good. And Cliff Kingsbury had a good year. I don't know that he had a great year of calling plays, but the reason they went for every fourth down, more than anybody else, more than the Lions, more than the Rams, more than the Eagles, more than anybody, because they had that dude out there. You just knew it was going to happen. So I would have put him 5 if he was 1 year more experienced. I'll tell you now, I put him 6. That's the reason why. I'm going to get flamed for this, and that's fine. I put Justin Herbert at 5.
Wow.
He stinks in the playoffs. I get it. I have absolutely no disagreement about that whatsoever, and I know you guys are going to disagree with me putting him here. That's fine. Justin Herbert is better than Jared Goff, and he is also better than Jalen Hurts, and he is better than Jordan Love, and he's better than Matt Stafford. And I understand why you and I were having this conversation earlier, Dan. All the meathead QB wins takes, I hate that stuff. He is the only quarterback who that stuff is all right about.
Entirely true and fair.
Even Trevor Lawrence, who gets the same criticisms, I think there's a little bit more yeah, guys, he's in Jacksonville, though.
And he beat Justin Herbert in the playoffs.
In the most famous upset now in NFL history. So I get it. I'm putting him there because I think honestly,
on talent, he is top 5 without question. On pure talent. Take out the wins and losses and just watch these guys play quarterback. If you were watching them practice the quarterback position, you would put Herbert in the top 5 without thinking twice.
But, I don't disagree with anyone who's I got to see him win the big one. No, I agree. A big one. I get it. I completely agree. I completely agree.
Who's 5th for you, Spencer?
I got to give respect where respect is. The Commanders did what the unexpected last year until they got to the NFC Championship game. And while I think if you look at the numbers purely on a stat sheet, combine all the numbers, Jaden Daniels had more combined yards, but I think Jalen Hurts was the better quarterback. He didn't throw the interception in that game, right? And they won 55-23. And so that's why and he's won Super Bowls. So Jaden Daniels couldn't beat him this year, and then they went on to win the Super Bowl. I have Hurts as my number 5, and then I have Daniels as my number 6.
Okay, so Daniels is 6 for you.
Yep.
Yes.
And Daniels is 6 for you, Brendan?
Yep.
Okay. My number 6 is Jared Goff. I have done a U-turn on Goff over the years because I thought in Los Angeles he was the classic. I thought the criticism of him being the classic system quarterback were 100% true. That's what he was. He was the guy who was just point and shoot for Sean McVay, and that was all that he was about. And that was all that he was ever going to give you. Well, they're not running the exact same McVay, Shanahan tree stuff in Detroit. And he has now taken Detroit on a couple of deep playoff runs. They are consistently good every year. Jared Goff's good, guys. He's good. And he's an easy top 10. And I put him, again, let's talk about the ability to take his and beat yours, take yours and beat his. This is a guy in 2 very different schemes that has been able to take teams to conference championship games, and in Los Angeles' case, the Super Bowl. I think he deserves a ton of credit for having done that because there's not anybody else on my list who's done that.
I give you a lot of respect because you were a longtime Goff hater.
I was.
And
because I thought it was just a McVay thing. I thought it was just a product of the
point
system.
And shoot.
That McVay may as well have been on the sideline with a PlayStation controller. But he goes to the Ben Johnson stuff, which is of the Sean Payton tree, and has every bit as much success. And I think it's gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jared Goff for me, number 6 on my list.
I don't disagree with a single thing you said, and I had him 7th.
Okay, so
I had him just 1 spot behind.
So you had
Goff 7th as well.
Okay, so you guys are Jared Goff respecters. I appreciate that.
I gained a lot more respect for him watching that quarterback documentary.
He will always have the pressure problem. That is a legitimate issue. It's less of an issue with the Lions line. I'm not, trying to divorce quarterback from situation here. I understand that, but I think he is very smart. I think he is a great leader. I think his teammates love him, and those intangible things are very important. And I think he's very good. I always thought he got a little more disrespect than he deserved, but he's surpassed even what I thought. So, no, I'll give him credit.
I have Jalen Hurts 7.
Okay.
And the reason I have him, again, behind Daniels and Goff, I know he can do it with the Philadelphia Eagles. I know he can do it surrounded by the most talent that any quarterback is surrounded by in the NFL. I do not think if you put Jalen Hurts in a different scenario that he is going to conference championship games and winning Super Bowls. I don't. I think he is a product of his environment. I think he deserves a lot of credit for how good he is, but also he blacked out in Super Bowl 57, played unbelievable in that game they lost at the gun to the Chiefs. Played unbelievable in that game.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't that great, Super Bowl 59. Like, he was not the reason the Eagles won that game. Let's be real. He threw a bad pick in scoring range. Like, he played fine. He played well. He outplayed Mahomes.
Yes.
Give him credit for that.
Certainly well enough to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is what I see of Jalen Hurts. He is a quarterback absolutely you can win with. The proof is in the pudding. But I don't know if I'm taking him onto a different team in a different situation and getting the same kind of results.
Okay, so I'm the low man on Hurts. I had him 8th. He's kind of the inverse Herbert in that, like, he is a playoff riser, and I give him all. Like, how do you take away credit from the guy who just led his team to a Super Bowl, did play well overall in the postseason, played well down the stretch? Like, it's hard for me to knock him too much. Here's the other thing. He finished last year, guys, 20th in yards. He threw 18 touchdowns. Like, that's like Daniel Jones
those are Alex
territory.
Smith numbers.
Kirk Cousins only played 14 games and had the same number of touchdowns. And Spencer mentioned earlier, he only had the 5 interceptions. But
weapon with his legs, that's all true. Like,
looking at the advanced stats, like, he was only 12th in EPA per play. He was only 12th in adjusted EPA. Like, I think he's fine. And I think he's fine and a playoff riser. And that's good enough for me to say top 10 because, hey, game's on the line. Who do you want? I want him ahead of a bunch of these other dudes. But, like, I think Jalen Hurts is a really limited passer. Yeah. And I want guys who can sling it more than that.
Andrew asks what I mean by product of Jalen Hurts' environment. He has had a lot of change at offensive coordinator in his career, even going back to his college years. His adaptability, I think, in those kinds of scenarios deserves a lot of credit. He's behind one of, if not the best offensive line in football.
With the best offensive line coach in football.
He throws to the best combination of wide receivers, the best wide receiver duo in the NFC.
Yes.
And one of the best tight ends in the NFC, and he has the best running back in the NFL behind him.
Yes. And an elite defense that puts them in favorable offensive positioning.
Yes. That is the most talented team in the National Football League. And that is why they won the Super Bowl, and not because, well, they had Jalen Hurts.
And I don't think that necessarily, like, takes away from whether he's good or, like,
doesn't mean he stinks. It's just that's why I don't have him higher on my list.
I agree with you.
You have Hurts 8th. I have CJ Stroud 8th. I still think he's that guy. His offensive line not particularly great, but man, I watched some of the throws he was making against the Chiefs. Like, he's got the moxie, he's got the big arm. He led that comeback against the Chargers in the playoffs. So he's another guy that's beaten Herbert in the playoffs. I'm still buying CJ Stroud stock. Who's your number 8, Spencer?
I got Matthew Stafford.
Okay.
I think he's a top 10 quarterback in the league, and he fits in 8th for me. I don't know. I'd say 7 to 12 were my hardest picks.
I agree with you.
They're all so close. They all don't really have playoff, like, not experience, but playoff success is what I'm trying to, like, it's just hard to quantify my 7 through 12. And I flipped 3 players in this throughout the day.
Barbara's a big Stafford supporter in the YouTube comments, says I would have put Stafford before Goff and Herbert, though he is getting up there in age. Andrew would have had him 6th on the list, won a Super Bowl, still putting up 300 plus yards per game. I have Stafford 9. Stafford is number 9 for me for essentially those reasons. Still real talented. I didn't have him near my top 10 last year, and the reason was I think he might be too beat up. He was not too beat up. He still had another great year in him.
All right, so I'll give you my 9-10 because I think I actually think they are very similar in terms of play style. I'm the high man on Jordan Love. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I put him 9th. I put Stafford 10th. I think Jordan Love is just younger Matt Stafford at this point, and which I mean that in a complimentary way. Stafford has been really good this year, although the advanced statistics, not nearly as fond of him as the football card statistics were this past year. You want to know an insane stat? You know who had more carries last year? Matt Stafford or Jordan Love? Matt Stafford.
Wild.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about my quarterback running less than Matt Stafford. I think they are very similar in a lot of degrees, and I think Love's arm is nuts. I think he is as creative as a thrower as there is in the league outside of Patrick Mahomes. The interceptions are an issue, sure. Matthew Stafford's problems have been interceptions and bad times as well. Again, I think those two are like identical, but Love is younger and I think has a stronger arm today.
Who's your number 9, Spencer?
I've got Love there as well. I think he is everything Brendan said. And then you add the fact the Packers finally drafted a wide receiver in the first round.
Yeah, Love had more drops than any other quarterback in the league this year.
You give him a first round quarterback on top of the fact that he's ascending, like it's only going to be a positive for him.
A question from the 913. Somebody clearly thinks we have Stafford a little underrated. Asked, doesn't winning Super Bowls account for anything? Well, if it did, we'd have Aaron Rodgers in the top 10.
It was also 3 years ago.
Yes.
Like, because, I mean, Stafford's what, 37 now?
Super Bowls do account for a lot. Mahomes is at the top of our list. He's got more Super Bowls than any of these guys. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's certainly part of it, but no, I mean, there's you win Super Bowls for different reasons. Like, nobody was ever putting Trent Dilfer in their top 10 when the Ravens won the Super Bowl with him at quarterback.
Yeah, so this is our 2025 quarterback rankings list.
After 2022, probably would have had Stafford top 5 without thinking too hard about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's 2025.
Well, and there's the thing. I mean, Matt Stafford, the year after that Super Bowl, he only played half the season because he had severe injuries we didn't even know he was going to come back from. Like, I that does matter, but the average NFL career is 2.8 years. That Super Bowl was 3 years ago.
Spencer, is your number 10 a guy we've talked about yet?
No.
Who's your number 10?
Baker
Love Mayfield.
Love it.
Stunning upset that Brendan's not the high man on Mayfield.
It is stunning, actually.
My thought of Baker Mayfield really changed once he went to Tampa. Because I thought his career was he was going to play in, like, if he wanted to play football, he's going to have to go to CFL or UFL or something. He just, you start your career in a graveyard that is Cleveland. Like,
I believe it was Andrew brought it up in the YouTube comments about Jalen Hurts is always in a different offensive coordinator. Baker Mayfield has been in the league longer and has literally never had the same play caller. Going back to Oklahoma, he had changed in play caller.
So you got Mayfield 10th. This is where I have Herbert because I could not bring myself to leave Justin Herbert, as talented as he is, out of a list of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league.
I think that's fair.
Outrageous talent. All you got to do is watch and you see it. And now he's not in an offense. It's just asking him to be check down Charlie. Crazy talent. Win something. It's time. It's time for Justin Herbert to go do something. Be talented in a game that matters, not the wild card round.
I agree with you.
Make a run. Yank the division away from Mahomes. If you're that guy, it's time to go be that guy.
I agree.
It is past time for him to go be that guy. So, recapping our top 10s before we take a break. We'll get to our bottom 5s after what is wrong with you and the next 5 out. First 5 out for all of us. Top 10s. All of our top 4s are the same. Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, and Burrow. I had Jaden Daniels 5th, then Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, CJ Stroud, Matthew Stafford, and Justin Herbert. Brendan had Herbert 5th, followed by Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, and Matthew Stafford. Spencer went with Hurts 5th, then Daniels, Goff, Stafford, Love, and Baker Mayfield. Those are our top 10s. Hit us up on the text line, 785-272-9429. Hop in the comments on the YouTube. Agree, disagree, agree. We want to hear from you one way or another. We're going to take a short break from this exercise to crown a What Is Wrong With You champion for the week next on 580 Sports Talk. crown a What Is Wrong With You champion for the week on 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you? Brought to you by our buddy Mo, State Farm Agent Ryan. Mo Winkle. Give him a call today, 785-273-1572. Our current weekly champion, keeping it in the family, or they got the wrong Enrique Fernandez, the gentleman who used his dad's credentials to submit a bunch of building inspection reports after his dad, who was a building inspector, passed away. He just followed in his pop's footsteps and committed fraud to the tune of $3.6 million in civil fines, but claims they have the wrong Enrique Fernandez, which is very funny.
So funny.
Spencer, your story is so horrifying and gross that I am only going to allow you to read the first 2 paragraphs and the first sentence of your story. And then I don't want to ever hear it or think about it again. Your story loses today, and it is awful. But go ahead.
Now I'm even more intrigued.
Yeah, there's a pretty sick guy in Louisiana. After calling police the other night to complain that a woman refused to leave his residence, a Louisiana man, unsure if the alleged trespasser was still inside, asked officers to search the property and clear his residence. Cops agreed to sweep his home in Louisiana. Marcus Guillory, 60, in search of a woman he knew as Aretha. They found Aretha. Excuse me. They found some dolls.
Oh God,
some very disgusting dolls. He's also has a heavy rap sheet on top of the fact that he's getting arrested for everything that he is getting arrested for.
Oh geez.
Yeah, you look the details about the dolls are such that frankly I do not want to get into them on the air.
Yeah, I was going to tread lightly and just say they were not air appropriate.
They were not
horrifying.
I didn't know that those kinds of dolls could be not age appropriate.
Yeah.
Let's just say that and leave it there and keep it moving. That story loses today.
He admitted to owning them too.
Today's winner.
Yeah.
Love his honesty.
We're going to Bangor, Maine. Make your own joke. Members of the Bangor Police and Fire Department, as well as crisis negotiators, were on the scene of an incident on 14th Street Wednesday morning. 39-year-old Stephen Nason climbed onto a roof and refused to come down. He was taken into custody around 11:30 a.m. after surrendering. Has been charged with aggravated criminal mischief, creating a police standoff, and violating probation. The incident started around 4 a.m., so he spent 7.5 hours up on the roof. When the resident of the home and her boyfriend told us they heard something on the roof, they went to the back deck and saw a ladder up against the back of a home and saw Nason on the roof. Although they'd never seen him before, they asked him what he was doing. They say he yelled down to them that he was trying to retrieve his drugs out of the chimney. They called police. When they responded, the fire department put a basket up near the roof. The resident's boyfriend said an axe was attached to it. Nason jumped from the roof to the basket, grabbed the axe, and jumped back onto the roof, and then proceeded to chop holes in the roof. Bangor Fire Chief Jeffrey Lowe told the WABI television it was an attempt to treat someone in a crisis with dignity and respect, but unfortunately that plan went south.
Yeah, I'll say.
Like, hey, I need up here. My drugs are in that chimney. Just let me have the drugs and I'll leave your roof alone.
Wow.
So that's our winner today. Does that beat the fraud story from Florida?
No, I love that fraudster story.
I
Stole his dad's identity and then claimed it was a different guy with the same name.
I just think it's interesting about that story, like that the fact that his credentials still worked.
He lied. He was
But
committing
like,
crimes.
still, like you would think, like if his dad's such a prominent person for his business, like it would be known that his dad passed away.
Yeah,
so it's even
that's a
crazier
fair
that
point.
like he was allowed to do it.
I could just imagine him just being directionless, not knowing what to do with his life. Then his dad dies. He's like, I'm just going to follow in the family business.
I'll just take over.
Simple
like,
as.
Like nobody knows.
That's our winner for the week on What Is Wrong With You, sponsored by State Farm Agent Ryan. Mo Winkle. Again, give him a shout. 785-273-1572.
What's up,
If
Mo?
somebody climbs on the roof of your house and chops holes in it with an axe because their drugs are down your chimney, you're going to want insurance. Give Mo a call. 785-273-1572. When we come back, we continue our NFL quarterback rankings. We've given you our top 10s. What about our bottom 5s and the near misses? Those are next on 580 Sports Talk. 445 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer hanging out with you and ranking the quarterbacks in the National Football League ahead of the 2025 season on what is essentially our final show of the offseason, with the Chiefs set to report to camp over the weekend and camp officially opening on Monday. We've given you our top 10. We're going to throw it back up on the screen if you're watching on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. So you can see who we've got in the top 10. Now we're going to give you our bottom 5. The worst of the worst. You know, the line from Moneyball, there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's us. I really do kind of believe there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's the teams or the players at the very bottom of this list. Maybe that's hard on number 28 on the list. But I was between two quarterback situations for the dead last on my list, and ultimately decided to put New Orleans at 32 and Cleveland at 31. Cleveland's is objectively funnier because of how many cooks they have in that particular kitchen, with Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. But New Orleans has 3 guys who we have never seen play well, even for a second, in an NFL game. Joe Flacco was good as recently as 2 years ago. Kenny Pickett, I think, is probably a serviceable NFL backup. I don't know what Tyler Shuck is, and I'm pretty sure that Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener should be going pro in something other than sports. So that's why I have New Orleans dead last and Cleveland right in front of them at number 31.
So I also have the Saints dead last. I wasn't all that high on Tyler Shuck in the first place. I assume he's going to get that starting job. If he doesn't, yikes. Jake Haener's been bad in the NFL. I loved him in college, but not surprised. Spencer Rattler was terrible last year when he got in for a little bit. And yeah, guys can improve from year 1 to year 2, but I don't really believe in that group at all, or the ceilings of that group at all. It might be a real bad year in New Orleans, especially if that offensive line doesn't coalesce the way they're hoping for. It might get really, really bad. So I've got them dead last as well. Do you too, Spencer?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that group is pretty bad. My second
Is he even signed yet? Is Tyler?
No, Shuck is not signed yet.
He's the reason that everything's being held up mostly.
Well,
right?
I mean,
one of the reasons.
Most of those guys have signed at the, not many,
or
most,
agreed to deals.
Yeah.
He was a big hang up because he wants fully guaranteed money at 40 overall. So he's hanging up the top of that list.
He's going to start. I kind of get it.
Who do you have at 31?
I've got the Colts. I don't care who wins that job. Daniel Jones sucks and Anthony Richardson sucks. It's just two different kinds of suck. It's like death by a billion paper cuts with Daniel Jones, because he can't do anything except throw it underneath successfully. And Anthony Richardson is like a dude who throws 103, but kills a kid in the stands because he doesn't know where the ball's going.
Who do you have at number 31, Spencer?
I've got the Browns.
You've got the Browns. Okay. Yeah, man. Again, I think that if your backup quarterback was Kenny Pickett, you're probably feeling okay about your backup as long as you don't have to play a lot.
I got to disagree. As a guy who 2 years ago said, I'm going to hitch a wagon to Kenny Pickett, I watched a lot of 2023 Steelers football. And I'm going to tell you this. I don't think I'd trust Kenny Pickett to wash my windshield. He sucks. Flacco, by the way, is by far the odds-on favorite to win that job in Vegas. He's minus 102, I saw.
As well he should.
I have him, I guess I do have Flacco, but the Browns general 30th.
You have them 30th?
Yeah, 3 quarterback battles this training camp, all 3 dead last.
That's where
that's what you have as well?
Well, no, I have the Colts at 30.
Oh, yeah. You have the Colts at 30? Okay. I have a real quarterback at 30. I have a clear starter at 30 on my list. It's Justin Fields.
I'm glad you said that. I have Fields 29.
Me too.
4th last. The only reason I flipped them, because I originally had Flacco ahead of Fields. I flipped them around because I assume the Jet, and I know this is not really the spirit of the exercise, I assume the Jets are just going to call 50% QB run, which he can do. It won't work when teams find out that's what they're doing, but he can at least move. Flacco cannot. Cousins and Rodgers at least had torn Achilles they were recovering from. What's Flacco's excuse?
That's a good point.
I feel it's 4th to last, though.
So I have Indy's quarterback battle ahead of Justin Fields because
at least they've played. Well, I guess so did his Fields.
Daniel Jones in the right scenario went to the playoffs, and Anthony Richardson is as physically gifted as any quarterback in the league. Now, he appears to be something of a wallflower and also never healthy. That's a problem.
Yeah.
But like, I don't see it with Justin Fields at all. Like, I do not see it.
Trust me, brother, I get it.
You can make me squint, and I can see a future where it clicks for old AR-15, or where Daniel Jones does like some Gardner Minshew stuff in that Colts offense, and has them surprisingly competitive this year. But you can't make me see it with Justin Fields with the Jets. All right, so at 28, I got Penix.
Okay.
I'm Michael Penix, 28, and this is about the point where I start to feel bad for the quarterbacks that are really low on the list, because I don't think that I think there's a chance Michael Penix could be an okay NFL quarterback. I just think less of him than I do the quarterbacks that I rank ahead of him. That's where we really got to. Like the top 4, clear cut, the bottom 4, clear cut, and then after that, it was just a ranking of, all right, like, would I rather have this guy or this guy? And I went all the way down the list before I got to Penix.
So I'll tell you right now, my next, I know we're only doing 28, but my next 2 are the 2 guys who are going to start who have never played. I put Cam Ward 28, JJ McCarthy 27.
We have the same exact 29, 28.
The sole reason why, I think if McCarthy had come out this year, he would have been drafted first overall.
Oh, 100%.
Cam Ward would have gone second.
100%.
Cam Ward was just the only guy.
Yeah, and that's how I kind of avoided the situation you put yourself in, Dan. Like, I'm going to put him low because I've never seen him play in the NFL. He might be. I think Cam Ward could be pretty good. He's never played, and same with McCarthy. So that's why I have those 2 guys low.
So those are our bottom 5s. You can again see our list as it goes up there on our 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. Who our bottom 5s are. Okay, we got to run through these real quick. Give me the quarterbacks that just missed your top 10. Run through your 11 through 15. Brendan, start.
I put Baker 11. Just behind Matthew Stafford. I put Stroud at 12. I do think he took a bit of a step back last year. I put Purdy 13th. That might have been disrespectful. Trevor Lawrence 14. Kyler Murray 15.
We have a pretty close list there. 11 Herbert for me.
Okay.
12 Stroud. 13 Purdy. I got Geno at 14.
Ooh.
Because I think I like the Pete Carroll, like the match together.
We know it works.
And then at 15, I've got Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of similarities.
I had Jordan Love 11. He was my first man out of the top 10. Still high on him, though I think he was very careless with the ball last year.
Fair.
Purdy 12. I was the high man on him last year. I'm not quite the low man on him this year. In fact, I think I'm the high man on him again this
You
year.
are.
But, I still think he's comfortably top 12 in the league. I have Baker 13th.
Okay.
I think he might have been a Liam Cohen creation. I think we'll see. I guess we'll see.
He did it with Canales the year before.
I had Kyler Murray 14, and I had Geno Smith 15.
Where'd you put Trevor?
Trevor was 16.
Okay.
I was the low man on Geno. I had him 19th, but I'm looking at my list. I probably should have put him 17th. I put May and Tua ahead of him.
Since I am the only one that didn't get to rank my own favorite team's starting quarterback, I have Sam Darnold 20th between Aaron Rodgers and Caleb Williams.
I have him 21st between Aaron Rodgers and Caleb Williams.
I've got him 25th.
Whoa, wow.
Ooh, the low man.
Ouch.
I think he might work with Kubiak. I do, because it'll be very, don't do something dumb and we'll be okay.
The offensive line has
work.
to be good, though, and it's not. That's the
true.
thing. The offensive line has to hold up, and that line is stinky. Makes me so sad. Anyway.
But, hey, to the Seahawks' point, that system also negates some problems with the offensive line because it's so, get the ball out quick. That might help.
We'll do Change My Mind to wrap up the 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk after this. All right. Changed my mind. The quarterback that could make potentially a jump into the top 10 that we did not mention today is Caleb Williams. He was 21st on my personal list. They've got some structure around him. They brought in Ben Johnson. I think the ability is still there.
I
if
agree.
He's not shell-shocked from what a disaster his first year was.
I had him 20th for what it's worth. I am going to say the most likely to be able to do it is Trevor Lawrence. Because while the Bears situation is good, and I do worry about Jacksonville's offensive line, Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter has the ability to be like 2 all-pro caliber players.
That's true.
So
He's throwing to some dudes.
I would put him second behind Trevor with that kind of possibility.
Who do you think's got the most helium, Spencer? Quickly.
I mean, I do think Caleb. I think under Ben Johnson, but I had him 23, and I had him, I think, like 25 or 26 last year.
Did you have him ahead of Bo Nix?
No, I have Bo Nix at 20.
Wow. I had Williams one spot ahead of Nix. We'll come back for one more half hour of 580 Sports Talk. We got Royals baseball at 5:30. So we got headlines next at 580 WIBW. Let's get it. Third and final hour. It's really a half hour here on 580 Sports Talk. It's our last half hour of the week. Let's make it count on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk, name of the channel. You can also check us out on Facebook, WIBW News. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis with you for this final half hour. We pass the baton to the Royals Baseball Network at 5:30 sharp. The Royals and the Marlins starting the second half of the regular season with a 3-game series at Lone Depot Park. First pitch tonight set for 6:10. 5:30 pregame coverage once again on the Royals Baseball Network here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. I'm glad to have baseball back. Missed it the last couple of days. Look forward to having some baseball to watch.
It's definitely been weird to turn on the TV and like not have sports to watch.
They FanDuel Sports Kansas City was running some highlight games from the first half of the season. They played, I think it was the Red Sox game that Fermin won in the walk-off where it was scoreless for 9 innings. Each team scored in the 10th, and Fermin won it in the 11th. And they also showed the Cardinal game where they had that. They were down, I think, 7-2. Caglianone's first game, I think, or one of his first games, where they were down big and they rallied off of Palante. They had that big inning and ended up winning that game. So I saw that they showed at least those two yesterday, but they can show some real baseball tonight. Seth Lugo on the bump for the Royals. Sandy Alcantara is pitching for the Marlins, maybe his final start in a Marlins uniform. The lineup for the Royals tonight, it looks familiar. It's Jonathan India at second base, Bobby Witt Jr. at short, and Vinny Pasquantino at first. Did you know Vinny leads the American League in hits since May 1st?
I believe it. He's been on a tear.
Didn't do squat in April, and he had plenty of company. But yeah, since May 1st, nobody in the American League has more hits than the Pasquatch. Jake Eisenberg had that stat on Blue Sky earlier today. Michael Garcia bats clean up at third base. Salvador Perez will do the catching. Jack Caglione's in right. Nick Lofton will DH tonight and bat seventh. John Rave is in left field with a new uniform number. He has given his number 26 last year, who the Royals just acquired, Adam Frazier. So great news for everybody who bought an Adam Frazier jersey last year.
Yeah.
It's back relevant. Kyle Isbell batting ninth in center field. Frazier joined the team in Miami. He is on the active roster. So too is Andrew Hoffman. He was promoted from AAA Omaha to take Michael Lorenzen's place on the 26-man roster. Lorenzen, of course, placed on the injured list during the break, but he threw his bullpen session today as scheduled. Sounds like he came through it okay. The fact that they promoted Hoffman in the first place and didn't clear a roster spot for a starter tells you that they think this is only going to be maybe just one start that Lorenzen misses, and that they can ham and egg a bullpen day in Chicago this week and hopefully get him back. Well, he's eligible to come off on the 26th. So,
I thought it was earlier than that.
Now, well, it's 15-day IL. So he's eligible to come off on the 26th. So he could theoretically be back as soon as that, and that would be a situation where he would only have to miss the one start.
Yeah.
So that were indeed the case. The lineup for Miami tonight, I'm going to keep it all the way real with you. They got a guy on here who I don't know his first name. Xavier Edwards leads off. He's at second base. Jesus Sanchez in right. Otto Lopez is the shortstop. Don't make a lot of autos these days. Not a lot of autos running around.
Yeah.
Augustine Ramirez is the DH, hits cleanup. All-star Kyle Stowers bats fifth in left field. Liam Hicks will play first base and bat sixth. Dane Myers is the center fielder. Dane Myers is actually a player who will be fun to watch this weekend. He plays center field like he's auditioning for a role in the TV show Jackass. He just throws his body all over the place. Not afraid of the wall, not afraid of a dive, just plays with reckless abandon out in center field. Kind of a fun player. Graham Pauley, I had to look up that first name. Graham Pauley is the third baseman and will bat eighth. And then Nick Fortes is the catcher and will bat ninth. So that's coming up. 5:30 pregame, 6 o'clock first pitch, or 6:10 first pitch, rather, on the Royals Baseball Network. So we've only got this one segment here, and we may as well get to some sports headlines and some wild stuff happening in the NFL Players Organization. Late last night, the executive director of the NFLPA, Lloyd Howell Jr., resigned, ending his 2-year tenure as the leader of the union. In a statement released by the union, the 59-year-old Howell said, quote, "It's clear that my leadership has become a distraction to the important work the NFLPA advances every day. For this reason, I have informed the executive committee that I'm stepping down as executive director and chairman of the board of NFL players effective immediately. I hope this will allow the NFLPA to maintain its focus on its player members ahead of the upcoming season."
I didn't even know he was the guy leading it until this news story started to pop up in like May.
So he was chosen kind of in secret. Like the NFLPA didn't make a big deal out of his selection, even though it took 16 months to find Howell. Howell's background was in technology and basically very white collar work. He had been the former chief financial officer of technology consulting firm Booz Allen Hamilton. His tenure had come into scrutiny after several recent reports from ESPN and the Pablo Torre Finds Out podcast, which is one of the best sports podcasts going. Last week, ESPN reported that Howell was working as a paid part-time consultant for the Carlyle Group, which is one of the league-approved private equity firms seeking ownership in NFL teams. So the head of the players union is working with a group that wants to own a team. Conflict of interest much. Howell was asked by a union lawyer to consider resigning, but another source said he was going to do his due diligence before he made a decision. The big bombshell was that Howell struck a confidentiality agreement with the NFL 6 months ago that hid from players the details of a January arbitration decision, including a finding that league executives urged team owners to reduce guaranteed player compensation. Effectively, collusion. There was collusion, and the head of the players union decided to hide that from the players.
I didn't even know he was the head. I thought it was still DeMaurice Smith.
Nah, DeMaurice Smith's been out for a while.
Since 23.
Yeah, so there was a finding that league executives had urged team owners to reduce guaranteed player compensation. Remember that offseason where Lamar Jackson was a free agent and all of a sudden nobody wanted a quarterback?
Yeah.
Remember when teams were doing backflips to try and explain why they didn't want Lamar Jackson, and then he went and won the MVP?
Yeah.
So that was collusion, basically. That was collusion on the part of league executives and team owners. And January arbitration decision uncovered that, and Howell, in his role as the head of the NFLPA, basically hid that from the players, hid it from the union. Also, Howell was sued for sexual discrimination and retaliation back in 2011 while he was a senior executive at Booz Allen Hamilton, and that a dispute emerged about whether the players who voted for him as the executive director were aware of that lawsuit prior to his election to the role in 2023. So, union busting from within the union, bad. Working with a group that wants to buy teams as the head of the union, bad. Accused of sexual harassment, bad. Then there's this that was reported later today or earlier today after the news of his resignation. An outside investigator hired by the union received documents this week showing that Howell charged the union for 2 visits to strip clubs, including a car service of over $700 that took him straight from the airport to one of the strip clubs. These were union-approved expense reports and receipts. One receipt shows that Howell was picked up in a sedan by a car service at Fort Lauderdale International Airport Thursday, November 2nd of 2023 at 10:26 p.m. The car's first stop was a nearby Miami Gardens address. The receipt shows only one other stop nearly 8 hours later at his luxury condominium. The employee searched online. A union finance worker, noticing the exorbitant cost of the car service, costs a lot of money to make a car wait for 8 hours.
Yeah.
The employee searched online for the Miami Gardens address, discovering it was Tootsie's Cabaret. The 76,000 square foot venue bills itself as the world's largest strip club. So I guess that's one reason you would spend 8 hours
The
at a
world's
strip club,
largest.
if
You gotta go to every corner.
That's multiple shift changes you're staying through, man. Like, you got to be a real sicko to spend 8 hours at a strip club. 10, 20. This man is in his 50s. This man is in his 50s, and he's got that kind of. I know they pump oxygen into the air at strip clubs, so just like a Vegas casino, so you lose track of time, and you've got stamina you didn't realize you had. 8 hours at a strip club.
Yeah.
Sicko behavior. And then he expensed it to the union. Absolutely incredible. During this year's NFLPA Summit, February 21st, Howell accompanied union employees to the Magic City Strip Club in Atlanta. I've heard of that one because I listen to rap music. The outing incurred $2,400 in charges, including cash withdrawals from a club ATM. This is amateur hour stuff. Do not withdraw cash from an ATM at the strip club. That's a rookie move. You bring what you were prepared to spend and no more and no less. And when you're out, you're out. Unbelievable. According to the expense report, here's your punchline. The purpose of the strip club outing, quote, player engagement event to support and grow our union.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Yep. He charged the union for his trip to the strip club. Yeah, real prize of a guy, Lloyd Howell, and he's no longer the executive director of the NFLPA. Now they got to get rid of the player head. Like, J.C. Treader has screwed this pooch 6 ways from Sunday. They got to get him out of there. They have to do a full overhaul of the leadership of the NFLPA. There's no other way forward.
Apparently it's not J.C. Treader. Apparently it's Jalen Reeves-Maben.
He might be the active player head. He's the president of the NFLPA is Treader.
Okay. Well, it says. No,
you're right. Yeah, it is Jalen Reeves-Maben. Man, you're right. Yeah. Jalen Reeves-Maben, he wasn't in charge when they hired Lloyd Howell. Yeah. So we can give him a pass on hiring Howell. So at least they did clean house.
In March of 2024, he was elected to a 2-year term as president.
At least this was Treader's guy. Bad move. Anyhow, that's our first headline today. What have you got for a headline?
Let me pull this out. Let me see if I can find, I'll have to see if I can find it. There's breaking news from the MLB that could be linked to what happened before, with other high profile players. I don't know if you saw this, that, I can't. Marte. What's his first name?
Ketel Marte.
Ketel Marte is going on not a disabled list, but a restricted list because his home was just burglarized.
Yes, while he was at the All-Star game.
He was at the All-Star game. So that is interesting. That comes as less than a year after the high-profile ones that included Mahomes and Kelsey, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting news. But from the world of the MLB as well, leave extended for Guardians Luis Ortiz amid a betting probe. He'll remain on non-disciplinary paid leave through August 31st while an investigation by MLB continues into his unusual betting detected on individual pitches thrown by the right-hander. The MLB announced the extension today, so they're still trying to dig into it.
Yeah, if you saw I don't know if you've seen the video evidence of the two pitches that were in question.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Yeah, man, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. So if you missed us talk about this story when it first broke, and it broke on a day when Ortiz was scheduled to pitch for the Guardians. Obviously, he was scratched from that start. He's going to remain on the administrative leave here. But there were two bets that got flagged because they were unusual in size and scale for result of first pitch of an inning in two of his starts. Ortiz threw like 56 feet.
Yeah, I'm just now seeing them.
Yeah, he's spiked sliders.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look good.
Nope.
Does not look good for Luis Ortiz. And Major League Baseball is already banned a player for life recently for being involved with gambling, former Padre and Pirate Tucupita Marcano. If there's any connection between Ortiz and these gamblers, then he's going to be next on the list. But good news for him is that Rob Manfred has decided that when he dies, he'll be eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame. As long as his suspension will last until he dies, and then he'll be reinstated,
Until death.
and they can vote for him for the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
There's also this from the world of sports gambling today. Documents obtained by ESPN revealing new details about the suspicious betting under scrutiny by federal investigators involving Charlotte Hornets guard Terry Rozier. He's been under investigation for a while now. Obviously, there's been some NBA gambling investigations. Jonte Porter's been banned for life. Malik Beasley appears to be in a little bit of trouble. Well, apparently in 2023, a professional bettor placed 30 wagers in 46 minutes, all involving Rozier.
Jeez.
It was nearly $14,000 worth of bets on the unders on Rozier's statistics in a game that night, in which he exited after 10 minutes, citing a foot injury. The NBA investigated the unusual activity in 2023, found that no league rules were violated. Rozier, to this point, has not been charged or accused of any wrongdoing. But that's to this point.
Yeah.
And again, more evidence that does not look great. Real quick, let's get to the leaderboard from the Open Championship, final golf major of the year. It's Scotty Scheffler on top. The number one player in the world threw up a 64 at Royal Portrush this afternoon to get to 10 under par for the tournament through 2 rounds. It gives him a one-shot lead over former U.S. Open champion Matt Fitzpatrick and a 2-shot advantage over 2023 Open champion Brian Harman and the rather tall and lanky gentleman from China, Haotong Li. I didn't see Li hit a shot day one. They showed him plenty on TV today. He's a tall drink of water.
Yeah.
Haotong Li. Can't say I know a whole lot else about him. He's 29 years old and has not, I believe, ever won or come close on the PGA Tour, but he's only 2 shots back of the lead. Big group at 5 under includes Tyrrell Hatton, Robert McIntyre, last week's Scottish Open champion Chris Gotterup and Harris English, Tony Finau and Nikolai Højgaard, his twin brother Rasmus in the group at 5 under. Nikolai and Tony Finau are 4 under in a tie for 10th. Rory McIlroy at 3 under is tied for 12th, 7 shots back, along with Keegan Bradley, Sam Burns, Lee Westwood, and Englishman Jordan Smith. Group at 2 under, 8 shots back includes Xander Schauffele, last year's Open champion, Ludwig Oberg, and Justin Rose. Players at 1 under include my pick to win the event, Tommy Fleetwood. Don't think that's happening. Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler, Lucas Glover, Akshay Bhatia, also at 1 under par. Bryson DeChambeau did not make the cut.
No, he did.
Oh, he did. He did make the cut.
He rose 93 spots and shot a 6 under in the second round.
Yeah, he went from a 78 to a 65 and did get to +1, and that was the cut line. So
I think he's the highest riser in the tournament,
Easily.
up 93 spots.
Easily, yeah. Bryson did make the weekend. Among prominent players who did not make the weekend include Jason Day, Siwoo Kim, Zach Johnson,
Brooks
Min
Koepka,
Woo Lee,
Colin Morikawa.
Brooks Koepka, Colin Morikawa were both 5 over for the tournament, or no more than that, 3, 4, 7 over for the tournament. Cameron Smith, Patty Harrington, Adam Scott, among those who did not make the cut. We got to take a break. We'll come back with a final word to wrap up 580 Sports Talk. Walking off, wrapping up 580 Sports Talk for the week so we can give way to Royals baseball half an hour early. Spencer Dupuis, final word.
Yeah, the Royals back from the All-Star break today, and you get better hitting guy in a trade, I think. I mean, look retrospective now, looking at the trade a couple days from when it happened, I think it was a good trade for the Royals. I mean, Cam Devaney couldn't even get an at-bat in the majors. He had been up since the 8th. And I think it's good that you're turning into a guy who, yeah, he didn't have a good season last year with the Royals, but he's having a pretty good season, and he's better than a lot of your reserves. So I'll take it. Hopefully the Royals sweep the Marlins next time we talk.
Final word for me today. It is a big weekend in the American League Central because all three of the teams that are in the wild card hunt, the Royals, the Twins, and the Guardians, all play series that they ought to win. Twins play the Rockies, Guardians play the A's, and the Royals play a Marlins team that is not quite as good as their record. And they've got some good pitching matchups lined up this weekend. So the Royals have to take advantage. I don't like using the term must win. I think it's overused when we analyze sports, but I do think it would behoove the Royals, as I said at the top of the show, to get at least 2 out of 3, if not a sweep, in Miami this weekend. That's going to do it for us. We'll hand it off to Royals baseball here at the bottom of the hour. We'll come back on Monday from 3 to 6. It'll be Chiefs Camp Report Day. Excited for that. For Brendan and Spencer, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Have a great weekend. Good night.